Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me clearly and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So without wasting so much of your time, let's get down to what we have for the news. So you're welcome to this week's MFX review with Grey White FX for the 6th to the 10th of March 2023. So as always, we're going to start off with our economic calendar. So looking at the economic calendar, we're going into non-farm payroll week. That's coming in on Friday. Then we have high impact news on Wednesday. Then we have Aussie rate news on Monday. Yes, Monday going. No, I think that's on Tuesday. We have Aussie rate news on Tuesday. Or is that Monday? I can't see clearly. I think it's on early morning Tuesday. It's early morning Tuesday. It's early morning Tuesday. Yes, early morning Tuesday. That's Tuesday stroke. Tuesday stroke Monday stroke Tuesday. So we have some pretty significant impact news. And we have on Friday also we have Bank of Japan monetary policy statement and press conference. And they are saying tentative, which means may hold, may not hold. So that out of the way, let's go down into our charts and see what we have. So we're going to start off with the NASDAQ. Looking at NASDAQ, we can basically see that price took sell side below here, just spiked a bit and rallied. And now price is within the body of this last up close candle before this down move. So if we go into the daily time frame, we can see that price is coming back into this area here. And if we look closer, we can see that it's basically closing up this imbalance here. The price is basically closing it up. So if we also go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that there's a little bit of shift to the upside. This swing high has been broken as well as this. So we can say that we're starting to see a bullish run on the NASDAQ. Price is setting up for a bullish run going into the new week. So we might see a little bit of a move into either of these other blocks here. That's either this or this, a retracement, and then a continuation because we already have a break here, a break here, and a break here. So order flow on this is shifted to the upside. So you'll be waiting for a retracement to either of these fair value gaps and then a continuation probably to this high or this 4-hour imbalance here above price. So that's what we have on NASDAQ. NASDAQ has tilted order flow to the upside. So, the next pair normally we're going to look at is the dollar index. But the dollar index, let's look at the 10-year US 10-year yield. So looking at this US 10-year yield, it's positively correlated to the dollar. So what do I mean? If the yields are going up, that's like interest rates, that means that there will be more demand for the US dollar. Should the yield start to go the opposite direction, then that means that there will be less demand for the US dollar. So if we look at where the yield is now, the yield is at what we will refer to as a bearish order block. last up candle before this down move, and we can see there's already a significant pin bar on the weekly time frame. So if we're to go down to the daily time frame, we can already see that there's this fair value gap here. You can see that price has closed it completely. If I just pick this and put here, you can see that price has closed it completely and dropped. So if we go into the 4-hour time frame, we can see there's a massive drop after all this buy side liquidity has been taken. So now going into the new week, the possibility exists that we might see a little bit of a retracement. And if price gets rejected from this weekly level here, there's a possibility that this may continue to the downside. We're already seeing the signs from the weekly. So with that knowledge, if we go into the dollar index, we can basically go to the daily to the weekly. If we look at the weekly, we have what looks like a kind of a dark cloud cover on the weekly, which is bearish, a bearish dark cloud cover on the weekly. If we go to the daily, we'll notice that last week, what price did was that from this high to this body open here, there is this pin bar is what this week is what you refer to as a fair value gap. So 50% of it, that's a consequent encroachment, can see that price rallied into it. And after then, price has dropped. So if we go down into the 4-hour time frame, we can see, if we even look to the left, we can see this structure point here, which lines up with that consequent encroachment of the pin of the week on the daily and this bearish order block here. So we can see that price dropped from this point, retraced again on Friday and dropped. So for now, on the lower time frame, that's on the 4-hour time frame for the dollar index, there seems to be a little bit of tilt of a weakness. Because if you look at this, we already have a change in character here. So any rally on this might be an opportunity for further downside. And like I already pointed out, on the 10-year yield, there's a possibility this may retrace a bit. So if this is to retrace, then we're going to see a little bit of upward move as well, also on the US dollar index. So we might see a little bit of a retracement and then a continuation. So where will price be looking forward to? I would believe they are going to take out this imbalance. That's during the weekly play, if price is to close below this 4-hour volume imbalance, then you know definitely they are going to move lower. So for now, the dollar index is posting a little bit of a downside move. There's a swing high here in play, and then there's a lower high to the left. So that means that most likely if it should rally and this high remains in place, this low and this low might come into play. So that's what we have into the coming week. So the next one we're going to look at is the Euro USD. So since we know we're going to have basically a slightly bearish dollar index going into the new week, this pair is going to give opportunities. Any downside move on the Euro USD is going to be an opportunity for a long. So if we look at this pair already on the weekly, we already have what you call a bullish piercing pattern. A bullish piercing pattern. If you notice, price went below this previous low and closed back more than half of this candle's body. So this is a bullish signal. Although it has a long upper wick, if we go down to the daily time frame, we can see we already have a kind of a rally. This is a retracement, and this kind of like a continuation of that move to the upside. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, on this 4-hour time frame, the possibility exists that this may come down a bit. Maybe sweep this low one last time. If it sweeps this low one last time, and if you notice, we have what looks like a balanced price range on the 4-hour time frame. So where's the balanced price range? We have this fair value gap, this fair value gap. And if you notice, one candle down, one candle up. So as long as price stays above this level here, as long as price stays above this level, this will be a good opportunity for a long going into next week, as this zone here will be a good opportunity for a long going into next week, because you have this gap to this gap closed up by one candle. So this is like a balanced price range. As long as price stays above this zone, there's a possibility that we might see 106.91 or 107.47. That's 107.04 going into the new week. So the next we're going to look at is the GBPUSD. So looking at the GBPUSD, on the weekly, we have what looks like a railway track. And say it's equal bodies. But instead of the wicks to the downside, they have the wicks to the upside. So that tells us that going into the new week, the possibility exists that we might see a bit of a retracement. If you look at this, there's already a W formation. As you can see, it's already a W formation. So we might see a little bit of a retracement on Monday. Might see a bit of a retracement and a continuation to these highs. A continuation to these highs, or even as high as this going into the new week on Monday. So it depends on what price does on Monday. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is so going into the 4-hour time frame. If we look at price is at this kind of a bearish structure. So you wait for a retracement, a little bit of a retracement, and a continuation back at the upside. Definitely, this coming into this new week, price is going to sweep these equal highs. Then maybe we'll be looking at the encroachment. That's a 50% encroachment of this week high here. So these are likely draws on liquidity. That's this 50% here. First, we're going to have this liquidity sweep. If this fair value gap does not reject price, then we know that price is going to go up to 1.2204. So you wait for a retracement because you don't want to be buying at this area. You wait for a retracement and then a continuation to the upside. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is gold. So for now, gold is clearly tilted to the upside. Any down move on this pair should be an opportunity for a long. Any down move on gold should be an opportunity for a long. If we look at it on the weekly, we have a bullish engulfing candle. Bullish engulfing candle. After liquidity, sell side has been swept here. If we go into the daily time frame, we go into the daily, you can see that price is at a kind of resistance structure. So this will not be a good place to be taking a long. So if we go down now to the 4-hour time frame, there is a monthly fair value gap. Is it monthly, weekly? That's between 1847.57 to 1852.83. So this low here has to hold as support. That's if this should retrace, you'll be looking at this area. If this area holds as support, then you might see price continue back. And also this level, and because this is a pin bar, we're going to be looking at the consequent encroachment of it as well as likely support areas. So that's the 50% of it comes in at 1842.93. So if this retraces, you have this level here as a consequent encroachment on the far. These are possible areas where you might be looking to take longs on this pair. So for this pair, it's bullish for now. It's bullish. We already have a clear break and close above these highs. So you'll be waiting for a retracement and then a continuation back to the upside. So the next we're going to be looking at is the EURGBP. The EURGBP, the weekly has a doji, which is basically an indecision candle. If we look at the daily, I can't say much on this pair from the daily, but if I look at it from the 4-hour, this is what I see on the 4-hour. We have a low here, we have a high here, we have a lower low, and then this. So on this pair, on the 4-hour, we have a bullish setup. Price is coming in to test this breaker here. That's this last up candle before this down move. So we're going to use this candle here. So we're going to extend this candle out like this. So if this holds, then there's a possibility already, price is already down there. So I'm supposed to be from this point here. From this point here. Let me see if we have a breaker here. So we're looking at this point. So if this point holds, then this is going to continue to the upside. Well, if it fails, then we'll be looking at price to come in towards this area. So going into the new week, there's a possibility that this may continue back to the upside, given the breaker here on the 4-hour time frame. So the next we're going to be looking at is GBPCHF. Looking at this pair, if you look at this pair from the weekly, if you look at it from the weekly, it's kind of like in a consolidation. Not much of a new high and not much of a new low. If you look at this pair, and this is a pin bar on the weekly time frame. So that means that we might, going into the new week, there's a possibility we are going to be seeing weakness on this pair to an extent. So if we go to the 4-hour time frame, there's a possibility this may retrace a bit. It might retrace a bit. Already, price is making new lows, slightly tilting, but this low is still intact. So once you get a close below this low, that's if price rallies and can't take this high out. That's what do I mean? If it rallies and gives something like this, then if you take a short position, you'll be gunning for this low. If this low gets closed below, maybe on the 4-hour time frame, you wait for something like this and a situation like this. So this is what you'll be expecting on GBPCHF going into the new week. There's a possibility that we may see weakness on this pair going into the new week. So the next we're going to be looking at is the yen pairs. And as always, before we look at the yen pairs, I always like using the yen basket. The yen basket gives a broader out view of what we're expecting in price. So if we look at the yen basket on the weekly, it has a doji. But if you look at this doji, the lower wick, it has a long lower wick. Has a long lower wick. So that's kind of like bullish in a way. If we go to the daily time frame, the daily is still tilted down. There's no new high, no break of a new high yet on the daily, but we have a bullish close on the daily. We have a bullish close on the daily. Looking at this pair, that's the yen basket. We have a bullish close on the daily. More like an engulfing. More like a bullish engulfing. And if you look to the left, we have this series of other blocks here. So price dipped into it and it has rallied. And we have this big wick here. This wick serves also as a fair value gap. So if we pick from here to here, we can see that this bounced off the 50% of it, and which also lines up with a 4-hour fair value gap. So you can see the 50% of this pin bar on the daily is equal to a fair value gap on the 4-hour. And so we have what looks like, what candle pattern do we have here? Kind of like, can somebody reply? Hmm? Anybody there? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes, we're here.
Looking at this candle pattern, what candle pattern can you say this looks like?
Oh, yes, let me see. Let me see. Is it morning? I don't even know. Is it morning star thing?
It's a morning star formation.
Morning star formation. Yeah.
So that means there's a possibility that we might be looking at a rally going into the new week on the yen. Might be going into a rally. Although there's no break of a high yet. There's no break of a high yet. But there's a possibility that we might see a bit of a retracement and then the move will start. We already have a short-term low here. We have this low here. We have this and we have this. So as long as this low stays intact and this, there's a possibility price will take out this and probably run for this high or the 50% of it. So based off that knowledge, if we now go into the GBP pound yen, it would not be a surprise when you look at this big wick on the yen pair. This big wick. So this is bearish. This is not bullish. This is bearish for now. So if we go into the daily time frame, the possibility exists that this may rally, at least to try and see if it can close up some part of this. That's from here to here. We might see a bit of a rally to see maybe towards this 50%. Towards this 50%. And yes, might see a bit of a rally. We have a break here and a break here. So this may rally probably towards this imbalance here, maybe slightly move deeper into it and then continue back to the downside. So for the GBP JPY, we might see a rally going into Monday, Tuesday, then a move to the downside. So let me also look at the Euro yen. The Euro yen liquidity hunts to the upside. So this may rally. Should it rally and get rejected, already liquidity has been taken here. So if this rallies and doesn't take out this high, you watch this low, 143.87. If it should rally, we already have a fair value gap here on the 4-hour. If it gets rejected from here, then price might be coming for this low. Ready, we have this bullish other block here that has repelled price the first time. So we'll see if price comes in there, whether price will find buyers. So that's it for this week. Any questions before we call it a night? Any questions? The recording will be posted to the YouTube channel. So you might take your time. Don't forget to like the videos if you find it helpful. It goes a long way. So In the absence of any questions, I wish everybody a beautiful night's sleep and a blessed week ahead. Good night, everybody.